We're back, people. What is up? Another stream today. Miami Dolphins training camp day 2 completed. We got some new things to go over. Things being reported. Definitely, I feel like more notes were out there on the actual practice itself today. So that's exciting. Maybe less to do with interviews, which is one more thing. I think like they interviewed Sealer, Chop, Patrick Paul. I think Zach Wilson was in there as well. A couple quotes, but. First thing I want to talk about, it seems like, because we didn't talk about it much yesterday, I mentioned it because hadn't been fully reported yet, but Bayron Matos and Artie Burns, the injuries, it seems like Matos, he's the one who got airlifted out of there, that he's got movement in all extremities in stable condition. That's, really good for him. Definitely hoping the best for my guy there. And then Artie Burns, it's believed he tore an ACL. Honestly, just feels like the team might be cursed. I don't understand it. What's up, Patrick? What's up, Trollway? How you guys doing? Pretty good. Just going over what we got. Benito Jones. It's funny because I don't think the reporters mentioned Benito Jones yesterday at all, but he had the orange jersey today, which is always, sometimes things are happening behind the scenes. I think they also do it based off they're when they're studying and stuff like that, stuff within the room. So that's also something to take note of. Hold on, let me set this thing up. Refresh. Boom. Sure, we're good. Okay. What's up, Dro? How you doing? Also, I want to mention Zach Sealer. This was the big quote is they asked Zach Sealer about his contract. And man, Sealer's just a pro, man. He's talking about hey, that's cool and all, I want to make some money, but this is where I want to be. Want to be out here on the team, out on the field with my guys. He mentioned Kenneth Grant, all the edge guys, playing with them. Sealer, just easily one of the most likable players on Miami, just because he's always been good and underrated and never any issues. Man, just shout out Zach Sealer. Pretty much everything. But it seemed like the story of the day, notes wise, from everyone that I saw, we're gonna go mostly through Wingfield's notes, but I feel the Palm Beach Post, people at Sun Sentinel, Miami Herald. Everyone kind of seemed to have the same sort of consensus that it was a big day for the running backs and then the edge group creating pressure. Seemed like the defense more won the day, but there were still good things on both sides of the ball. Definitely want to get through these notes. So this is from Wingfield. Shout out Travis Wingfield. I think, the best notes out there when it comes to breaking down these practices. What is XP? Oh yeah, so there's a new thing, Troll, that top fans, they get number 1, 2, 3. They do the top 3. It ranks people based on them chatting or I think last time we did it, people wanted to see if so they super chatted and it ranked them up to number 1 because it gives you more XP. I don't know. It's just something YouTube added. I didn't even do anything. It's just now in the stream. Love the start of practice as the Dolphins hit 2 explosive runs, sandwiched on a 20-yard completion to Waddle. He said the O-line reset the line of scrimmage on an H-end run that might have gone the distance. Jonas Savianaya moved Zach Sealer off the ball, maybe more than I've seen anybody ever accomplish in a camp practice. This is huge for many reasons. Obviously, it's just practice. The pads aren't quite on yet, so, you take all of it with a grain of salt. But I will say, the reason I think this type of practice is important for Miami is the 2 big keys, I think, to the Dolphins this season on offense is being able to run the ball. It seems like the O-line, the starting group, can create more push than they had last year. And then the edge group creating a lot of quick pressures. So that's kind of the big 2 things, and that kind of seemed like the theme of this practice. And the fact that Jonah was out there moving Sealer is also big because I think that was one of the issues with Jonah's game, I think, was creating consistent movement. Because for a guy who was so athletic and big and strong, I feel like I wanted to see him create more consistent movements. The fact that he's moving Sealer without pads, so it's, still take that all, is big. Dolphins have to be able to hit explosive runs. It was a big day for A-Chain. I also saw Jalen Wright got some mention. Wingfield also said Austin Jackson had a seal on a big run outside. That's another, part of it. Jackson's a big part of the offensive running game. Yeah. Well, apparently the O-line had a strong day running the ball, which is more important to me. I think when it comes to the pass game, I think the Dolphins in a true game can get away a lot. And yeah, it's no pads too, which is another thing to, not be too worried about. But when it comes to an actual game, the Dolphins have a lot of ways of mitigating pass rush. And the Dolphins pass rush is very, very good. That's probably the strength of the team. It's not just Destiny making room for a special story to come to life with one of you guys. But Modest was ashamed though. He's proud just to be a fan. Hey, I hope there's something that happens special. You know, what's up, Grand? Time for her. No, I'm getting a haircut pretty soon. Let's see what else he said. After that, though, Jordan Brooks started making run throughs and blowing some plays up. Looked in midseason form. Pretty classic. Jordan Brooks is one of the players on the team that I'm probably least worried about. Very quality player. Will never understand when some people, thought he wasn't very good last season, which is not the case. Travis also said Tua was on point today, especially with the anticipation throws in the deep intermediate. Looked very 2022/2023 Dolphins. That's another big part of this. This is like I think will be the aftermath if the run game is more successful, is those more deep intermediate throws that Tua is successful over the middle. Those will come more off the play action game. And like that's why, I think running the ball is so important to pretty much every phase of the offense. He said Waddle made 3 such catches, including a beautifully timed crosser 25 yards down the field. He said Tyreek probably ran the best route of the day, caught another one 25 yards down the field. But defensively, it was all about strength. He said Jalen Phillips set hard edges throughout practice, made change back tracks on a couple occasions. Setting the edge, I think, will be, I'm not worried about the edge at all. So this makes a ton of sense. I think all the next people he mentioned are a lot of defensive line edge players, and it seems like they were having a quality day. Said Bradley Chubb. I saw a lot of people mention Bradley Chubb. Apparently, they also ran sprints after practice 2 days in a row. Dolphins players are staying after run sprints. Seems like a lot of players are locked in, which is, I think, a hopeful sign. Probably the most hopeful you can get from, training camp practices. Do you personally like Jonah? I know nothing about him. Yeah, I like Jonah. I probably wouldn't have traded up for that pick, but I do think Jonah was worth being picked right there. Good fit for the team as well, and we'll probably have some rookie growing pains at time, but I think it's still a clear upgrade over what you had last season. Jordan Brooks, yeah, the Jordan Brooks. There's certain players like I understand criticisms for a lot of Dolphins players, even the ones I like we've talked about it, Tua and stuff like that. But there's certain Dolphins players that I've seen get criticism that just makes no sense. And it's like Jordan Brooks, Chop Robinson. And I'm like, those were easily 2 of your best players last year that. There was, not every play is perfect, but for the most part, they were playing at a very high level. Did you see my question? Yeah, I responded to that question, Grant. Yeah, you're talking about Dotson, right? I would be down to pick up Dotson. I'm not against it. I just don't know. There's probably something going on bigger that we don't know about if he got cut so early. Yeah. Daniels being on the field is definitely one of the biggest wins for sure. But Bradley Chubb was also right there. I think he had sacks and pressures. Chop Robinson had a sack. He said Grayson Murphy had a nice inside rush that forced a quick throw. It feels like every time Grayson Murphy's mentioned in these posts, it's always him winning on an inside pass rush, and that just makes so much sense based on his UCLA film. Because if you watch his UCLA film, it's just him constantly winning to the inside with quickness. So nice to hear Grayson Murphy mentioned. I think I saw a Kamara mention in another post as well. The whole edge room getting mentioned. This is a big line because, I'm waiting till the pad comes on to really hear more about the interior O-line and the interior D-line room, because that's when I feel like you can really have a picture of where they're at right now. But he did say Jordan Phillips looks like a big problem to me. He gets off the ball so quick and then goes to power and strength to overwhelm guys. And he's able to reset the line of scrimmage a couple times. I feel like Jordan Phillips and Kenneth Grant are really going to get more mention when the pads come on, because I feel like that's when they can really show off their skill set. So it's nice to hear Jordan Phillips already getting mentioned, but because he's probably one of the rookies I'm highest on, especially for a 5th round pick. I think he's going to make some plays. Seemed like Cater had a pretty good day. Nice PBU and 7-on-7. He said he thought Ethan Bonner had one of the better days of the corners. Also nice to hear, because I think Ethan Bonner, just based on the film, is one of the better young corners for sure. And he said Minka, worked versus the vertical ball. He actually probably forced a coverage sack on Tua on one play. So, and then another thing. So here's what he said. Some additional. Ollie Gordon looks smooth and at that size, a fun combo. Nice to hear some Ollie Gordon stuff. I thought Zach Wilson looked sharp. This is actually another interesting, because during minicamp, Zach Wilson, because Tua even mentioned in an interview, he said Zach Wilson, it sucks because the press don't get to watch every practice during minicamp. He said it sucks that the press didn't get to witness any of Zach Wilson's good practices. And it seems like back-to-back 2 days, he's been pretty sharp. Wingfield said he was playing on time, ball jumping off his hand. That's something to keep monitoring, because if Zach Wilson could play on time, I think that would be just a huge shift in him as a player, because I think that's probably his biggest weakness, and it's such a big part of the scheme that with the rest of his skill set, it might make him, at least a much better backup option than the Dolphins have had in the past. Yeah, this is where Kamara, he said Kamara had a nice line of scrimmage reset on a rundown rep. Not surprising. I think Kamara's always had pretty solid resets to line of scrimmage. Talked about Wright hitting explosive run. His ability to get vertical through his cuts is impressive. That is a big part of Wright's game. He is very good at maintaining his speed off his cuts. And Jalen Wright has probably been one of the biggest bright spots throughout these mini camps, training camps. Excited to see him in the new number. He said James Daniels continues to look like he did on tape with the Steelers to me. Calm, in control, explosive athlete. I hope that continues. I hope if he maintains his athleticism that he had but pre-Achilles injury, man, the Dolphins O-line, like I know I've seen some people say the Dolphins O-line has gotten worse because of losing Armstead. And the reason, like, Armstead's a very good player, don't get me wrong, but I don't think, like, overall, like, I don't think last year's starting O-line is better than this year's starting line. I actually think this year's starting line is much better. Depth, I have question marks, but this year, even though you lose Armstead, because the thing with Armstead is he was constantly in and out of the lineup. I think Paul being in the lineup, and if he doesn't get hurt, having that consistency of not having to swap players in and out, I think is a huge bump. And then your guards are so much better. Like, so much better. And then you keep Brewer. You hope Austin Jackson stays healthy, obviously. And I think Paul can still do a lot of certain things. There will be, like, I'm sure he'll have his losses, but I still think, it's not a big as fall off as going from, those guards last year. So as long as, like, Daniel's health is a big part of that too, like, because I'm at least assuming a little bit that he's healthy, but that's just something to keep note of. They posted some different videos, I believe. Yeah, Sun Sentinel also talked about the edge rushers and the running back room standing out. Chop, oh yeah, this was a funny moment because Chop said, a lot of people say I can't stop the run, but there are a lot of clips out there of me that show me setting the edge. I wonder if this is in reference to when Omar tweeted out a while ago that, because Omar tweeted out, what was it? I actually could find it. He tweeted out that, like, Chop, he's not impressed with Chop because he can't set the run. And then I responded with a tweet of him, like, setting the run, like over a minute long. And then that was, like, a pretty big tweet that blew up, but I wonder if that's in reference to that. Yeah, because it was this. As basically Omar on May 6th said, can he set the edge? Talking about Chop, trying to, downplay what Chop did. And then here I posted, like, all the clips of that happening. I was like, thought that was kind of funny. Then let me go back. Yep, some more good runs. Isaiah Smalls talked about Achane and Wright having a good day. Tua and Tyreek connected a couple of times. Then, yeah, I mentioned Chubb, Chop, Robinson, Phillips. What is up with Brewer's leg? It seems like he's just on the sideline right now. I don't think it's anything too concerning because they didn't put him on PUP or anything. So, like, I'm guessing they expect him back pretty soon, or they probably would have put him on some sort of injury list. Hear any Grant news over the last 2 days? No, I don't think I've read anything, which isn't necessarily a good or a bad thing. I would say pre-pads on, I'm not too worried. Like last year, we didn't hear anything about Chop early on. And even in preseason, in early of regular season, Chop kind of struggled. And then towards the end of the season, he was one of your best players. So I'm not too worried at this point. Yeah, White Lightning making plays. Dolphins offense going to be elite back to 2023 mode. I mean, I think that depends on health, but I do think it will be closer to 2023 than 2024. Ryder, did you want any more thoughts of shit that you left out in your vid? Hold Oh, I feel like there was something I forgot to mention in that video that I wanted to mention, but can't remember it off the top of my head. Because I feel like there was something when I kept going to watch, and I'm like, oh yeah, that was a good point that I didn't bring up. But I do like the Brunskill pickup. I think Baldwin can make the team. I think it's a tough battle for him because you really have to look at guaranteed money for these receivers, and the other UDFA receivers they added got a lot of guaranteed for like UDFAs, and that means Baldwin would have to like really outperform like those guys and even the non-UDFAs as well. That's why I'm like, I do like Baldwin. I just think he's more of a special teams guy. Yeah, because Baldwin got he only got like 15,000 guaranteed, while the other guys got like 100K, 200K guaranteed. But yeah. How about no botch snaps to Ryan Meyer, medium to heavy rain? Yeah, I didn't read anything about botch snaps, so hopefully, that's been an issue for Miami the last couple seasons is the botch snaps. Homer said he doesn't think Waddle is capable of being a number one. I think he's more than capable. Chop won't be a dominant edge setter. Oh yeah, for sure. I definitely agree, EM Baller. I just think I just feel like there's been a sort of narrative created that Chop is like a horrible run defender. I think he's around average. And I think if you're around average and a very good pass rusher, that's totally fine for me. Like he wasn't a liability last year versus the run. Maybe like there was a couple plays he had like that I thought were negative, but like he was not like a guy that was constantly attacked in any game. There was plenty of reps of him setting the edge. He's not like a high impact run defender, but yeah, I do agree that like I don't need you to be a great edge setter. Like, yeah, if you're an elite pass rusher, you can take over a game. Then Brunskill is center, yeah. Yeah, I think probably not a great fit. Brunskill is more of a outside zone type of guy, better on the move, and I think the Lions like to run a lot of gap stuff. Ceiling, what made Edge stand out? Was it their talent or bad line play? Usually when that happens, it's probably a mix of both. But I think the Dolphins, and it's always so tough to say when there's no pads on, because pads on can change the dynamic to either direction, shining. But I would say the edge room is probably your strongest room, so I'm not too concerned if the Dolphins' edge is, have a good day against the Dolphins' O-line. Especially because, like, when it comes to the Dolphins' O-line, I'm more concerned about the Dolphins' O-line being able to run block. If they can run block, I think the Dolphins' offense will be fine. They have plenty of ways. They get rid of the ball very quickly. If they run the ball well, that will slow down the pass rush. It will allow them to use more play action. Then there will only be like it will be like situational plays where then I'd be concerned, like, third and longs. You go down early, so then you force yourself to be in that situation. That's not where the Dolphins thrive, though. What's up, Irving? But yeah, lots of interesting stuff. I saw, what else did I see? Yeah, it seemed like I even saw like Tanner Connor because I think Tanner Connor had a big catch yesterday, but he fumbled. It seemed like Connor had a couple big catches today again. So back-to-back day with big catches. It's his chance with Darren Waller and PUP. It's kind of his chance to show. I know we want to see Connor actually do it in a real game. He's been around for a while. But I think, yeah, I saw it mentioned somewhere that he had a couple big catches. He had like a 20-yarder from Tua, like a 25-yarder from Zach Wilson. Yeah. Seemed like Zach Wilson had a pretty good day. Seemed like Ezukanma had a dropped ball after having a strong day yesterday. It seemed like he had a couple misses, so that's, tough from him. I saw Patrick McMorris had a good coverage rep. Dante Trader recovered a fumble at one point. So, some interesting notes. But yeah, it seemed like the backup quarterbacks like Zach Wilson and Ewers through the first 2 days have had some pretty decent plays. I also saw, apparently according to the Miami Herald, Ewers completed a 20-yard pass to Blake Washington and then a 15-yard pass to Jalen Conyers in 7-on-7 work. I feel like that's the first time we heard about Conyers. He did throw a pick, or no, it was nearly a pick to Ryan Cooper. But that's the first Conyers mentioned, so that's cool. Yeah. Oh, he said reporters are not permitted to disclose who's with first or second teams, but it's safe to say that the cornerback spot opposite Kader Kohu is an open competition. I mean, yeah, I think that's expected. We're all that was, the Miami Herald's Barry, Omar, Isaiah Smalls. Yeah, that's expected. I feel like, we're all at the point thinking like pretty much Kohu's probably going to be a starter on the outside. I feel like Kohu is going to play a lot outside and a lot in the slot. It just depends on like who's available, which game, and which is more important. But I wonder, because we talked about a lot about Rasul Douglas. What if they just signed Mike Hilton, who's also a free agent, and he's known for being a nickel from the Bengals, and they're just like, Kohu, you're just playing on the outside? Because it seems like Kohu is going to play on the outside, at least at some point this season. And I think, yeah, the other spot, probably Storm Duck. But there's 3 corners we have to consider, because nickel is basically base nowadays. I think Storm Duck wins the spot, and then it's either going to be a veteran they sign off the street, like Douglas or something, or it's going to be, it could be anyone, honestly. I think Fitzpatrick has not spoken to local reporters since the team reacquired him. Honestly, I'm not too worried about that. I mean, there was videos of Minka yesterday, like, leading the team, and even McDaniel mentioned, like, yeah, we're not going to trade for a player that doesn't want to be here. That chop stuff is funny, though. Yeah, let me see. First rank mentioned. Yeah, former Beaver. He was with Seattle last year, I think. Yeah, Dolphins have to have a strong start to the season because they have a pretty weak schedule off the rip. A couple, games in there that are tough, but for the most part, like their first 6, they had some very winnable games. Yeah. How has D-line looked? Yeah, Irving, the D-line had a really strong day today. Like, so apparently the Dolphins had a pretty good run day. Like, Achane and Wright had some big runs, but the edge room got a lot of pressures. Like, Chubb, Chop, Phillips all made plays. I heard Grayson Murphy get mentioned. Yeah. You think Ethan Bonner can win the spot opposite Kohu? I mean, I don't think it's impossible. I think Bonner could be one of the 3. I don't know if he'll be the number 2, but like I think he'd be like the 3rd guy. I think Cam Smith can do it. I mean, Cam Smith's going to get a shot because he has the 2nd round pedigree. I've kind of, I'm hoping the best for Cam Smith, but I've kind of pushed that thought to the side and and moving with some other guys in my mind. Colts QB room is so bad. Oh yeah, so we played the Colts week 1. Who would you guys rather face week 1, Daniel Jones or Anthony Richardson? I feel like a lot of people say Anthony Richardson, but I think for the Dolphins specifically, I would rather face Daniel Jones. And I'll tell you why. Because even though Anthony Richardson's more inconsistent as like a thrower, I feel like the Dolphins have always struggled with like the big athletic quarterbacks, the guys that they struggle to bring down. Like when we played Anthony Richardson last year, the Colts offense didn't do very much, but they really struggled to get Anthony Richardson down. Last time the Dolphins played the Giants when Daniel Jones was in, I think they even ended up hurting Daniel Jones in that game because they were absolutely hitting him, and Daniel Jones has no pocket presence. And I think that's how the Dolphins would win that game, is their edge room creating a lot of pressure on Daniel Jones and like forcing him to make plays and like getting sacks on him. I think they would get more sacks on Daniel Jones than they would get sacks on Anthony Richardson. So I actually would rather play Daniel Jones, even though I think most teams wouldn't. Yeah. Either way, like I feel like you should be fine, but I would actually rather face Daniel Jones because last time we faced the Giants, Daniel Jones was in hell. And last time we faced Anthony Richardson, he didn't do a lot, but like I just remember him avoiding a lot of sacks. Right, looks big in the number 1. You mean 5? Because Wright's wearing 5. Hey, shout out Jalen Wright. 25 and 5 are like my numbers. I wore 25, which is what Dante Trader is wearing now, and I played safety. And then 5's also like my lucky number because weirdly enough, so I was born on May 5th, which is 5-5, Cinco de Mayo. And the time I was born at is also 5:55. Isn't that crazy? So I was born on May 5th at 5:55. That's 5 5s. Kind of crazy. Yeah. I mean, the Colts game, I mean, week 1, I feel like games can go either way. But I do think that's a game the Dolphins should win, especially week 1 when you're going into the season at least relatively healthy. I think the Dolphins just, should win that game. But I don't think the Colts are a gimme team either. Yeah, I'm excited for the young guys. That's what I'm most excited for. Like, I'm not like, going into the season thinking Super Bowl bound. I'm going to, play the season by ear, see how it goes. Maybe you make the playoffs, maybe you don't. But like, I want to see what the young guys got, because I think that's like the big thing for this team in the future of this team. I want to see the young guys play at like all the spots. Because if the young guys can at least play well, one, that will obviously help you out this season, but two, it would also make you feel better about the upcoming seasons, because it feels like the Dolphins will have a lot of people to replace in these next 2 years. But yeah. Funny, my numbers were 5 and 25. Yeah, it's because, yeah, I had like the 5 thing, and then a lot of people in my family's favorite number is 2, and then I just like picked 25 at a young age. And like I pretty much wore 25 in football like my whole life. And Trader's one of my guys. So Trader wearing 25, playing the same position I did, like, oof, I'll be rooting for Trader. Your contenders with health, but yeah. Yeah, health will be a factor no matter what. It's just relatively healthy compared to years past. So who is the backup though? Ewers? No, Zach Wilson will be the backup. Like, it just based on like guaranteed money, veteran, like just the way the NFL works. Like, Zach Wilson will be the backup unless Ewers like destroyed him in a competition, which it doesn't seem like so far that's happening, because like apparently Zach Wilson's had like 2 strong days training camp wise. I know he struggled in minicamp, like the practice that we're watched, but it seems like he had 2 pretty decently strong days. Let's see if anything else has been reported. Also, yeah, did you see the Justin Fields thing? He got like what's it called? He got carted off today, and they thought it seemed like it ends up being just a toe injury. So man, that could have been bad for the Jets. But toe injuries I know toe injuries don't sound like much, but like if he has turf toes can affect players the whole season. And for an athletic quarterback like Justin, that could actually hurt him. Because I've seen receivers get turf toe like mid-season, and you think like, oh, it's not going to affect you, and then it just like they're never the same player for the rest of that year. Yeah, Barry Jackson said Chubb, Kohu, Ethan Bonner, Dante Trader, Achane, Wright, Tanner Connor among standouts today. Hill, Waddle were involved. None of the QBs have thrown an interception through 2 days of practice. That's good. They said Ewers threw a near pick today. He almost got picked, but no interceptions, which is interesting. But I like to see, like, a lot of my guys there. Like, out of Chubb, Kohu, Ethan Bonner, Dante Trader, Achane, Wright, Tanner Connor, like, I like a lot of those guys. Am I back? I got disconnected there for a second. But I've always been a big Kohu fan. I feel like, Kohu got a lot of hate after that second season, but for a UDFA, like, he has been one of the most overperforming UDFAs in the whole NFL the past 3 seasons. Like, he's played a lot of snaps. Also, if it is cutting out, because I know it just did the reconnect thing, you guys might have to refresh, just so you know. Zach Wilson is all right, I guess. I mean, I'm not very high on the Zach Wilson thing, but like if he's playing better than usual, then that's a solid sign. But either way, like I feel like if the Dolphins really have to go into their backup quarterback room, then I mean the season's basically over. What's up, Ryder? Just got here. Anyone get injured today? No, nothing that I've seen reported, at least so far. But there was some news. I can it was just to like recap it real quick. Big day for the edge group. Lots of pressures from the edges like Chubb, Chop, Phillips. Mention of pretty much all the edges. But apparently also the Dolphins running game has some big lanes, like Achane and Jalen Wright had some big runs. Jonah had like a really good rep versus Zach Sealer. That's kind of a highlight of what's going on. Some interesting interviews from Sealer. Thinks Sealer's just a class act. No interceptions so far through two days. The quarterbacks have looked pretty sharp, like another decent day for Tua, Zach Wilson. Corner room's wide open and anyone can win it after go. What even is turf toe? I mean, I don't know the exact definition. I can look it up, but I know just like turf toe. Yeah, it's just like a sprain of the ligaments surrounding the big toe joint. just basically like people like the big toe is so important, like with explosiveness and like being able to run at full speed, that it really does affect like a lot of like, especially like pretty much every position. They just never get back up to their like full, because you have to like explode off that. What happened to Bayron Matos? He got airlifted yesterday because I think there was like some sort of collision. Apparently he is fully stable and like has full feeling in his extremities. I also like to hear like the last 2 days the Dolphins have ran after practice because of some of the penalty stuff. I like hearing that. It at least sounds like they're locked in. I got to see it in real time, but at least the signs are there compared to years past. Ligament sprain connected to the toe, yeah. Ryder, what's your guess who our 3 starting corners are? Yeah, honestly, if I had to guess, like truly, I would say it would be Kohu, Storm Duck, and then someone off the streets like a Rasul Douglas. Like that's probably, I think, the safest guess. Now, if they don't sign someone, for me, I think I would start Ethan Bonner. But I wouldn't be surprised. I've seen a lot of the reporters and people be like, "Oh, Kendall Sheffield might start or something." But like I mean, I know they might want to have a veteran out there because it would just be a bunch of young guys, and Kohu, who's still pretty young too. But like, if you're not going to sign a veteran that has like a lot of starting experience, just play the young guys, see what they got, rotate them in and out until someone shows something. I think we're going to keep 3 QBs. Oh yeah, I think so for sure. I don't see them cut. I mean, they could cut Ewers, I guess, but I don't think they will. I think they're going to keep 3. Who you betting will get the first pick? Oh, like in practice? Oh, we should bet, yeah. Everyone give your guesses who gets first interception in practice. Who's a good shout? You know what? I'm going to give it to Ashton Davis, because Ashton Davis always had for some reason, great feel. Like he always would get interceptions versus Miami. And he's had picks against Tua. He's had picks against the Dolphins backup QBs before. I'm going to guess Ashton Davis, just like some ball is going to get floated. There's going to be a miscommunication. Yeah. Sheffield is a vet. Yeah, Sheffield's a vet. I was saying just like a vet that's like has a lot of starting experience is what like. That's why I'm like, yeah, I know Sheffield's a vet, but like I'd rather start the young guys because like I don't have a lot of faith in Sheffield being like super reliable. Yeah. Wait, is this true? Hulk Hogan passed away at the age of 71. I just saw that on Twitter. From a real account. Damn. Wasn't it like Ozzy Osbourne a couple days ago too? Yeah, well, Hulk Hogan passed away. That's crazy. Isaiah Johnson. Yeah, I wouldn't mind seeing Isaiah Johnson play some. Isaiah Johnson, someone is really back. It's so funny. Glad though he good. Yeah, I'm a big Minka fan. I don't have many Dolphins jerseys, and I have a Minka. I'm glad he's back in 29. I wonder if that raises the value of my Minka Fitzpatrick jersey, because I don't have that many. I have like probably like 5, and some of them are like older players. So I'm a big Minka fan. I always was. He was one of my favorite players in that draft class. You listen to a Pasture with Joe Rose and Kim Camper? No, I haven't listened to it. You're going with a linebacker or a lineman with first pick? Wait, Dodson's actually not a bad shout. Dodson's got some. Wait, what just happened? He's got some interceptions. Oh my god. I accidentally just messed up my OBS. Let's see if I can fix this. Oh god. I accidentally got rid of this. No, I don't want it there. No. Oh god. That's unfortunate. Well, I'll have to fix this somehow. Oh, there we go. Now it works. Okay. Yeah, it's vintage now. Okay, yeah, so I think that's pretty much. I mean, I didn't go over everything. Go check out those guys' articles and stuff if you want to see like every little detail. But I definitely mentioned all the major stuff. Benito in the orange jersey. I wonder who'll be in the orange jersey tomorrow. I feel like orange jersey tomorrow will probably be like one of the edges. Wouldn't be surprised if it's like Kohu or a running back as well. Make AFC conference. Oh yeah, the AFC conference is stacked. That's another issue the Dolphins have had that I think some people underrate is the AFC conference has always been much, from a quarterback perspective, the AFC conference is much more stacked than the NFC. Like, I think Tua would probably be seen as one of the better QBs in the NFC, but the AFC, it's like, it's so hard to rank the AFC quarterbacks. They could go in so many different directions. Hey, Ritter, still haven't heard of a single play made by Grant. You concerned? No, I talked about it a little bit earlier, Don, because for me, I think I'm going to wait till the pads come on. So I think the pads for players like Kenneth Grant, Jordan Phillips is where they get to really show out, you know, especially interior defensive line. Same with interior offensive line. So I'm like, hear more about Jonah because we started to hear more about Jonah the last like day or two. But before then, we hadn't really heard anything about Jonah either. But so I'm waiting till the pads come on. Also, like last year, we didn't really hear anything about Chop Robinson. And then even in preseason, he didn't do much. And then even in the start of the regular season, he struggled. So I'm not too worried about Grant. I still, and even Bradley Chubb said yesterday, like Kenneth Grant has been attached to Zach Sealer. So it seems like he's locked in. I think that's like the only thing that I usually worry about with like the rookies that like I think are very good talent wise is like, are they locked in? Because there's a lot of guys who just, you never know from the outside, like if they are really locked in, if they have like the mental. But from what I've seen, it seems like Grant has that football character and, you know, the work ethic. Yeah, I'm so excited. So ready for football to be here. Yeah. We'll continue, yeah. Every sort of, if there's camp updates, I'll probably stream if I can. So like most camp days, I'll stream. I don't know when they are exactly. I know the 26th, which is in 2 days. Yeah, is when it's opened. I know that will definitely be a day because I know that one's opened to the fans. So we'll probably get to see more videos and stuff like that because we haven't seen much videos of Dolphins camp. And every time I go on Twitter, I'll see some videos of like other people's training camps. So I'm excited for fans to be there because you know the fans are going to be trying to record stuff. Yeah, but yeah, thank you guys for watching. Leave a like, comment, you know, join up as a member if you want for like early access to videos, especially when I'm gonna, you know, preseason breakdowns around the